Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Hey Little Magpie. I'm using the Maggie Holmes Market Square collection and I'm just going to show some of it to you now. Really nice muted colours in this collection and loads of pattern papers. I haven't got them all here, but lots of nice small patterns, and I've got the chipboard pieces as well. So I wanted to scrap a picture of my daughter, recently taken from graduation. And when I had a look at the puffy accent stickers, I noticed that there were some rosettes on them in a number of colours. And that is what started the whole idea for this layout. So I'm using the 6x8 pad there, and I'm just pulling out some papers that have got some smaller prints on them. I didn't actually have a colour scheme idea at the beginning, but actually the further this layout progresses, I do start to actually use a certain colour combination. So to start with, I'm just looking through what papers I would like to use or think might be useful. These are two chipboard rosettes, and I've lifted them off the chipboard sheet and I've taken the stickiness off the back. That way I can move them around and use them as inspiration without them accidentally sticking to something else or getting lost on the back of some packaging. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to make some rosettes by hand. I don't know whether you've done this before, but actually it's quite therapeutic, but it is a little time consuming. So from this piece of paper, I've cut a strip. Now, I'm now going to actually score it. So this is what I'm doing. I've actually put a scoring blade into this cutter. So I'm scoring it on this side every centimetre, if that makes sense, and then I'm going to turn it over and space it out and score it again every centimetre, but in between, so that actually in the end it will be scored every half centimetre, but I'm looking to form peaks and troughs, so that's why I'm doing every centimetre on one side, then turn it over, and in the gaps centrally I'm scoring it again every centimetre. I think that will make a little bit more sense when I start to fold it. Now, can you see that I'm actually just bending it one way, then the other? So it's a little bit tough on the old fingers and thumbs, but it's worth it in the end, or I thought so. I did actually make a number of rosettes for this layout. I don't show you how all of them because there's no point. So I folded it and I've glued the ends together. Now I've got a piece of base cardstock there. I've punched it, but you don't need to. And I put some wet glue on it. This is Yoo-Hoo. It's really strong and it will be a good stick. I'm going to put the paper over the top and flatten it out into a rosette shape. Now, the more you push it into the centre, the smaller the rosette gets. If you have the hole in the centre a little bit bigger, the rosette will be bigger. So with the first few I made, I actually then stuck a disc of cardstock over the top to keep them flat. So I think I've made, is it 8 or 10 in the end? 10 different sizes. So that just basically made that I made the strip of paper that I started with bigger or smaller. Sometimes I used 2 strips if the paper was only 6 inches wide, so that I could actually have a thicker, fuller rosette. So I'm just measuring them there. The biggest one is about 3.5 inches across. The smallest one is just over an inch. Now, when I mentioned that I'd folded them every half centimetre, I did that because the bigger the gaps between the folds, the more they stick out. So that means that the more depth you would have to your layout. So just bear that in mind. Because even though I'm quite happy to have some depth, and you'll see that I'm actually layering some of these rosettes on top of each other, I don't want it to be massive. So if you actually made your folds every centimetre, that they're actually going to be quite tall, these rosettes. So just bear that in mind if you do make them. They get a little bit addictive, and you could make them in all sorts of sizes, right up to massive ones. I've done it before when I've had one that's literally filled a 12 by 12. So as you can see, I went with blues and greens and yellows from the papers from this Maggie Holmes Market Square collection. I quite like them. There's some checks, and I thought they go quite well with the academic feel. So I brought in the puffy rosettes. So to make mine look a little bit more like the winners rosettes, essentially, I'm going to put some tails underneath them. So some of these are just literally the manufacturer's strips from the 6x8 pads, and some of them I will cut specifically to make tails. I'm matching them up in similar colourways, but they don't necessarily need to be the exact paper that I used to make the rosette, if that makes sense. So I'm going to keep the rest of this layout quite simple because I think the rosettes are quite a powerful image. So I'm just going to put some of those puffy ones over the top of a few, and I'm bringing in some punches now so that I can cover the centre circles of the rosettes. Obviously some have got white circles and some haven't got anything at all. So I suddenly realised I hadn't got a title, but then I liked that sticker off the sticker sheets that says All Smiles, so I know that I'll be adding that nearer the end. So I'm just going to come back in with some plain cardstock and some punches just out of my stash and actually cover the centres of some of these rosettes. Now the photo that you see on the layout, as I mentioned, is my daughter's graduation, but in fact her graduation hasn't actually happened yet because of COVID. So we hired the outfits and had some professional photographs taken because at the time we had no clue if or when she would actually get to graduate. So fingers crossed it's going to happen later this year for real and in person. But at the beginning we decided that actually this was something that we wanted to do, so that we'd got some photographs to actually mark the occasion. So this is the first time I've actually scrapped one of them, so I'm really pleased. I really like. If it hadn't been for the rosettes in this Maggie Holmes range, I'm not sure that I would actually have scrapped this photo just yet. It was on my list of ones to do, but these rosettes, they really spurred me on. So I'm really pleased about that. So once I started adding the paper circles to the centre of the rosettes, I decided I wanted something in this circle, right in the centre of each circle. So I brought in some star punches from my stash. They're a little bit embossed. I'm not even sure where they're from. I've had them for quite some time. So I'm going to add some embossed stars to the centres, and I'm aiming to add a star of some sort to every one. There's a couple of stars actually on this puffy, thicker sheet, so I'm going to use those as well, just to pop in the centres. So I'm not sure whether you're watching this on mine, Sheena Rollins' YouTube channel, or whether on Hey Little Magpie, their channel. So I would recommend that you subscribe to either or both, and therefore that way you'd be able to keep up to date with any new videos that are getting uploaded, and I would really recommend it. Also give it a thumbs up if you like what you see. We try and provide inspiration as a design team for all the supplies, because Hey Little Magpie is the biggest supplier of American crafts in the UK. So lots and lots of things in their store, really worth having a good look at all that they offer. So as you can see, I'm still adding bits and pieces to these. You wouldn't believe how much time it would take just to add a few circles and a few stars to the centre of the rosettes, but actually the twiddly bits are sometimes what I like the best. So I'm just going through using the same similar colours and papers, and just I'm quite enjoying it. That's why it's taking me so much time, really. So I'm coming towards the end, and there's a couple of ones that actually don't have tails there, so I will be adding a few more. If I feel that they're overlapping, the tails may go under the centrepiece rather than under the whole rosette itself, because I don't really want them overlapping each other too much. So with that one, I'm going to stick those tails underneath the circle, as I mentioned. I will not be subjecting you to the sticking of it all down. That will be done off camera. But you can get the idea and the gist of what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm pretty much happy with that and the way that it looks. I'm just checking there's nothing else I wanted to add. The title's definitely going to fit there when all those have stuck down. So here they are. Can you see the height and definition there of those rosettes? I'm really pleased with the way they look. So I just want to check that I've not got anything anything else to add. The title's going to look great. I need to just put some foam pads behind it so it will sit flat over the top of those rosettes. Because it's a cardstock sticker, I won't need to mount it on something else first, which sometimes I have to do with different stickers, just to make sure that they hold their shape when they're not stuck directly to the base layer. But no, I'm quite pleased with the way this is going to look. I think it's all it really needs. There's enough going on. At least there's a little bit of like white space around the edge of the layout to just to give your eyes a rest. So just adding that in to the photograph now. So we'd love to see over at Hey Little Magpie anything you make with this range and anything else that they sell. There's a Facebook page that you can share any of your layouts on. So we'd love to see that there. I'm hoping to use some more of this range later in the month, but maybe a completely different colourways. So do pop back to see how that goes. So I just want to add something tiny. I'm just checking. I'm just looking at what's left on this sticker sheet, and I just come in with a little heart in the corner of the photograph. And yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Here's the full image for you to have another look at, and some close-ups too. So I hope to see you here again soon. Bye for now.